Hello, and welcome to my weekly mountain biking podcast. I don't have any idea what it's called. We're going to go over mountain biking news for this week and follow along. You can treat this as kind of a podcast style. I'm going to be actually reading through some different articles, summarizing them, and then talking through some of my thoughts on each of the articles. So if you are watching this on YouTube, you can of course minimize it and just kind of follow it in the background. I'm going to go through some of the most interesting mountain biking news I've seen in the past week, and I plan to keep up with these weekly, hopefully, and just throw these together as pretty quick videos walking through what we find in the news. So without further ado, let's jump into this. If you enjoy this, let me know. If there's anything you'd like to see here, also let me know. And then, if you enjoy it, follow along, subscribe, those things. But grab a coffee, grab a beer, put your headphones in, sit down, and follow along or listen along here. Here we go. All right, so I'm going to be digging into and reading some mountain biking news for you. The first one, and this is quite frankly just something I found interesting. Orbea is launching a new cross-country bike with an engineering detail that's something, it's kind of retro actually. Retro tech being worked into some new mountain bikes. So, iconic brand Orbea, most of you probably know, has just announced newest flagship cross-country hardtail mountain bike, the Alma. The latest generation utilizes an interesting junction on the seat tube that acts as a micro damper, effectively making a softtail mountain bike with racing in its DNA. So it's a hardtail, but it's a softtail. Softtail mountain bikes are nothing new. A brand named Moots has been designing something similar with their bike, the Mountaineer, for quite a while now, and they've had a resurgence lately in race-bred cross-country bikes. Trek recently released the Pro Caliber and then Specialized Epic WC. They both have minimal amounts of travel and right on the limit of being quote-unquote softtail. The Alma will replace the last generation model, which needed a refresh, so the Orbea Alma. Thanks to clever carbon layup, the brand calls the X Fader. The uniquely shaped seat tube you'll see here, it's engineered to absorb harsh vibrations and impacts by offering a very small amount of flex. This design uses high-performance carbon construction to reduce rider fatigue, mute trail feedback, and the Alma's carbon frame is optimized rear triangle and power spine design provide outstanding weight balance with optimal vibration, reduction, and absorption. The seat and chainstays also have a short and forgiving profile to increase vertical compliance while maintaining a wide profile. Keeps the rear triangle laterally stiff, so no sway, for better response under power. The Alma also includes mandatory features for cross-country bikes, full internal headset cable routing. I don't love that actually. Generous clearance for 2.4 wide tires. Clever design that allows for use of a dropper post without reducing water bottles. When you have a longer dropper in there, you can't put in the bolts for the water bottles always. Geometry has been optimized for the demands of cross-country racing. 67-degree head tube angle gives you precise control on descents and generous wheelbase and improved stability. And then at the same time, we've got a 75.5-degree seat tube angle, which puts you in a better riding position when you're seated in climbs. Now, let's see. The Alma also comes with a 110mm fork. Orbea says it hits the sweet spot of bump absorption while maintaining performance-oriented weight and geometry. Higher-end models feature 3-position hydraulic fork with 3 quickly adjustable positions, open, pedal, and firm lockout. And then they can be selected via the squid lock or the dial on the fork crown to suit the trail best. And then the Alma also has interesting bay door at the bottom of the down tube that gives riders and mechanics easy access to those internally routed cables. All right, so that's the Orbea Alma. I'll put a link to the source article that's from Bike Mag. It's really cool website and newsletter. All right, next we've got another hardtail bike. This is a very unique, well, I think it's a unique brand, Canfield. So Canfield Bikes is launching their TI Nimble 9. I don't know if it's actually TI or TI or T. But the TI Nimble 9 pre-orders are opening soon for titanium hardtail, but they're only selling 100 frames. So Canfield Bikes has opened up pre-orders for their all-mountain enduro hardtail. It's a titanium frame, and builds are open now, but you have to hurry up if you're interested because only 100 of these frames are being manufactured. All right, this is a quote from Canfield. They say, even though our roots are in dual link suspension, the Nimble 9 hardtail has been one of our most popular bikes since it debuted 14 years ago. There's a lot of heritage in this bike, said Canfield Bikes owner Lance Canfield in a press conference release, and he said, having just celebrated 25 years in business last year, we wanted to start the new year with something memorable. So 2025, we've had a lot of requests for the Nimble Tie, so I'm really stoked to bring this bike back to life, but this is only the beginning. There are a lot of exciting new projects in the horizon for 2025. Hardtail Tie Nimble 9 keeps Canfield's proven Nimble 9 all-mountain geometry, so geo stays the same, but it shaves 1.5 pounds off the steel counterpart by using Tie 3AL 2.5V titanium. Depending on the build and frame size, of course, the complete bike should weigh in at less than 28 pounds. Frames are coming in size options of small through double XL, first for Canfield. Again, for the price tag here, the titanium frame itself costs $3,199.99. and it requires a 50% deposit for the pre-order. So you're gonna be ready to fork over $1,600 just to pre-order here. Balance is due on March 31st. Orders are paid in full upfront, or orders that are paid in full upfront receive a 10% discount. Complete builds start at $5,599.99 with a SRAM GX transmission, TRP slate brakes, E13LG1 wheels, and then builds top out at $7,599. Shimano XTR transmission, Hope brakes, and DT Swiss carbon wheels. All right, this frame does accept long travel dropper posts for the guys at Pink Bike. I know they're always complaining about droppers. And the sliding dropouts adjust to accept either geared or single speed. As far as aesthetics, the frame gleams brushed titanium. So the text is actually laser etched in. It looks like there's an emblem that's probably glued on, but every titanium, and then there's no stickers. Everything's laser etched. There's no paint. All laser etched on. All right, Lance Canfield is the owner. He's a former downhill racer and Rampage competitor. He built his first bike in 1999 with his brother Chris, and then they are based in Poncha Springs, and they made a name for themselves by designing limited run and tried and true frames and builds. All right, let's see. I think we went through all the specs, but here's some that I think we didn't say. Full 29er. They've got a straight head tube, straight 44 millimeter head tube, 66 degree head tube angle with the 150 millimeter travel fork. Recommended fork length is 140 to 160, 44 millimeter offset, boost spacing, deep dropper post insertion. I don't see the seat tube angle. All external cable routing and brake routing. And then you're gonna have spot for 2 water bottles. Put a link to Canfield and a link to some pics here. I'm curious what forks they're speccing with these builds because they have a straight head tube. It's a gorgeous looking bike though. I love the look of that titanium frame. Really, really cool. And I'm curious to hear more about Canfield. I don't know a lot about Canfield bikes, and I kind of want to dig into their history. Is really interesting. They do just limited run stuff. It's kind of interesting market, and it's interesting. It's cool to see brands succeeding doing that. Obviously, that business model is never going to scale to become a huge brand, but pretty cool to see brands find a way to survive in this type of market. And a limited run business model is kind of something that interesting that may be somewhat recession proof. I don't know, could be, who knows. no one knows with recession. All right, next we're gonna get off of bikes and get on, well, not bikes totally, but get off of specific bikes and onto a Guinness World Record. Annie Ford set a world record for the most vertical descent on a mountain bike in 24 hours. Shout out to Annie. January 20th, 2025, Annie Ford, who is born in Tasmania, and she is a marine scientist, environmental activist, and of course, mountain biker. She set a new world record for the most vertical distance descended in 24 hours. Annie rode 55,747 meters, which is 182,831 feet of descent on her Santa Cruz V10 at Coronet Peak Bike Park in Queenstown to raise funds to help with reforestation. I'll link to her cause here as well. She rode 133 laps at the park to accomplish this feat, covering 256 miles or 412 kilometers if you're in anywhere in the world besides America. Annie did this, of course, as I said, to raise funds for reforestation in the Coronet Peak area. And upon completing her ride, she raised over $35,000. Donations are still open for those who'd like to contribute. And then quote from Annie, "Well, here it is, the limiting belief delete kit. We did it and then some," Annie said on her we're quoting Instagram post. That's why it sounds weird. "Maybe the best feeling in the world. I have the biggest heart and the sorest body." Really cool. Put a link to her Instagram also. All right, she said, "I went out chasing a number, but that was the least important part. The people, the focus, the body, the mind, the beauty, the incredible support, that's what's real. I honestly cannot articulate the gratitude for those that made it up to the mountain with me, to those who donated, and to those who shared this journey. I could not have done it without you. Thank you for bringing playfulness and energy and the fucking brilliance to this giant ticking clock we call life, and I'll never forget it." Annie's no stranger to mega efforts. Last year, she rode from Mexico to Whistler. Oh, I have been following her on Instagram. I didn't remember that. So she rode from Mexico to Whistler in BC, raising awareness about climate action and fundraising for charities, and then working to end offshore oil and gas projects. She also has mastered the art of documenting these journeys via social media, so she's definitely worth following. It's super entertaining to see some of the stops along the way from Mexico to Whistler. On that note, this is not bikes, but if you have not seen Chad Caruso skating across America on YouTube, go watch. He uploaded a video every day as he skated across America. I think they're like 50 or 60. It was pretty awesome to watch as he did it every day. I was watching live, and I would wake up and like have my coffee and watch Chad watch him skate. I don't know what it would be like necessarily to rewatch now, but watching it live was a pretty awesome experience. I would say treat it the same way, like watch one every day, just with your morning coffee or your afternoon beer or whatever it is, and skate across America with Chad. I love those distance traveling, bike packing, or hiking type things. Our next story here is a patent with the SRAM transmission. And basically, with a new patent application, there is reason to believe that SRAM is not giving up on mechanical shifting, which may be market demand and might be just their beliefs, but it looks like they are not obviously switching over like the entire line to electronic shifting. Patent application published this week hints that SRAM Eagle transmission, like mechanical derailleur, could be using UDH compatible bikes, or could be coming to UDH compatible bikes. The application was first filed July 15, 2024. Lists SRAM as the applicant and signee. So essentially here, all of this is way too much in the weeds. But the interesting thing with all of this is that SRAM will probably not be shifting the entire line. Shifting, no pun intended. SRAM is probably not shifting their entire line, or certainly not planning to shift their entire line over to electronic shifting. But this was July of 2024, so I don't know if that really tells you what they truly believe, because they haven't seen what the market feedback is on electronic shifting. So I don't know. I wouldn't read too much into this. I don't think that overall market feedback from people that I've seen anecdotally would suggest that the market's going to bear a full-on shift to electronic shifting. I think it could be in the future, but I think people are definitely hesitant with having to charge things and just with changes. I know that kind of like electronic vehicles, at this point, anytime the claims that they're making with electronic shifting and how much of a game changer it is, how reliable it is, how fail-proof it is, are so bold that any failure that is out there is going to be viral, and it's going to be documented, and people are going to pay attention to it. So it's going to be hard, I think, to fully get the market to shift over, just because any mistakes are going to be pretty glaring. All right, next, moving on, I know probably a lot of people have seen this. It's been discussed around a few different places. I heard it on the Pink Bike Pod. I don't think this is gonna stick. Well, okay. I don't think this is going to... I'll just get into it. Upside down flat pedal design. So, rubber pedal pokey shoes. The idea, or what most people think of when they see this, is, okay, I'm not going to bash my shins anymore and bleed because all the pins. What's interesting about this is I had that happen a ton when I just started mountain biking and I hadn't used flat pedals often. I would nail my shins all the time, and I don't remember the last time it's happened. So, but anyway, flip pedal shoe design summary would be: you don't bash your shins, but also you have pokey shoes now, so you have better traction. So let's get into this. 9.8 brand is based out of Ontario, Canada, and they're known for lightweight, innovative dropper posts. They just released a patent with their pedal design, which is a rubber-based pedal. It's a sleeve that goes over the pedal, and then you wear basically like crampon shoes, except tiny, tiny little treads. You can... Apparently, it looks like it's a cleat similar to clipless shoes, clipless pedals. And you're able to then change out the cleat if that wears out. You can change out the sleeve as well. But basically, they're studded shoes. Now, as would hint with them being based in Ontario, Canada, is that the idea here would be to utilize these for fat tire bikes and for winter and snow riding. And the studs then would come in handy if you're off of the bike walking on snow or ice. Now, the important thing to quantify with that, or the reason that that's important, is that a lot of people see these and laugh at them as being totally silly. And of course, like, well, they'll never, those look stupid, that's dumb. Well, of course they do, right? They're not made to replace flat pedals, and people aren't trying to get you to stop using your 510s and your race face chesters or whatever you have. The idea here is that these would be something for fat tire bikes and something that could be used in the snow and ice. We'll link to those as well. This article about this is from Singletrack. Now, this stuff is never fun to go through, but it's a lot of what's happening in the mountain biking world right now. We had like a massive expansion a few years back, and people overstocked, and a lot of companies are dealing with hard times right now. So what's going on with GT? And hopefully we can kind of give people a good idea of what's going on currently. GT Bicycles, they've paused operations and they're liquidating inventory. Obviously, those are not good things. They're going through some major restructuring. And we don't know if they're closing doors or anything. Obviously, GT is a bigger brand than just their mountain bikes. So they're probably not entirely shutting down or going out of business. Surprising move for anyone familiar with GT. They've fallen on difficult times, obviously. They were recently purchased by Pawn Holdings. Interesting, look up Pawn Holdings. They own a ton of bicycle companies. In 2023, they were purchased by Pawn. There have been whispers of turmoil within GT, layoffs, and massive discounts. Everyone can see that type of thing in the market. So the brand is not closing doors or boarding up windows, but they do plan to significantly reduce their workforce, and they're pausing all new product launches indefinitely. All right, so the quote from GT here is, "To ensure a stable and successful future, we are implementing a strategic reorientation to align with evolving customer preferences." But basically, they plan to liquidate their entire inventory before they implement more layoffs by the end of the year. This was at the end of 2024, and this was as of like December 20 something, so right around the very end of the year, and more layoffs were expected. They're focusing on their core strengths, refining their strategy to position their brand GT for long-term growth, and they're going to continue to sell their existing inventory. GT is not giving up all hope. GT remains a brand with strong potential, and this decision has been taken to lay a solid foundation for the next chapter. Things don't look good. That's all I'll say. GT has some pretty notable sponsored riders. Phil Kmetz. We also have Brage. I always want to say Brage Vestovic. He is a freaking monster. Yeah, I don't know. It's I've never ridden GT bikes. They've been a brand that I think kind of have been out of the super mainstream picture as far as a lot of customers for recent times, but it's just a big name, and a big name in the history of cycling. On a similar note here, there have been layoffs and pausing things indefinitely, not that type of stuff, but big discounts on Rocky Mountain bikes. So like, what's going on with them? I'm going to read from an article written by Mo Awesome. So you should check out his YouTube as well. So just search Mo Awesome when you get a chance. This is what he says about Rocky, and I know he's more tied into the industry than I am. So it's been a rough week for the bike industry, with GT and Rocky announcing some company changes due to current market conditions, leaving both brands with kind of uncertain futures. Well, the news, while surprising, didn't catch us totally off guard. Mo said, "I had heard there could possibly be some change-ups while they were figuring things out the last few years. However, when he heard about Rocky Mountain, the first thought that crossed my mind was that there's no way they're going out of business. Rocky Mountain's history is too rich, they're too relevant in today's market." They are very relevant in today's market. We're not talking about a brand that's been in limbo, trying to get by, which could probably trying to, referring to GT a bit there. They spent this entire year updating their new lineup. New Rocky Mountain Instinct is a versatile do-everything bike that shreds way harder than 140mm travel. The altitude, they have a really nice Rocky Mountain Element. They have a really nice lineup for this year. But let's get to the meat of this. And Mo says, "And why am I so confident? Well, besides knowing how many people people in BC believe in this brand and seeing how relevant they still are to mountain biking, I have a feeling that people like Christopher Tutton just won't let this happen." Who is Chris Tutton? Chris is currently the president, Specialty Sports Group at Fox Factory Holding Corp. I'm not an expert job titles, but this is Mo talking. From what I've gathered from the current role, he's pretty important over there. Basically, Rocky isn't going anywhere because they're super relevant to the market, and I would completely agree with that. GT is a company, as I was saying, is kind of been on the outside of the market for some time. They haven't been relevant based on their bikes. They've been a company that's kind of relevant based on their history rather than their current bike lineup. I'd say that's not a super fun note to end on, but really, I would say as a consumer, it's a really good time. And basically, the way you can kind of help the market is get your friends into mountain biking. Personally, I would love to see more people out on the trails, but don't be a dick when you're out on the trails. So I would love to see more happy people out on the trails, and I believe that if you're out mountain biking more frequently, you're going to be a more happy person. But really, how can we help the mountain bike industry? Get your friends into mountain biking, and quite honestly, it is an amazing time to get into mountain biking. It's pretty ridiculous that so many people are getting into mountain biking in 2020 when the prices were the highest like they've ever been. There weren't discounts on anything. Inventory was sold out. It was like such a freaking terrible time to get into mountain biking. And now is an awesome time. And unfortunately, a lot of brands are having a really hard time selling product. I'd say get your friends into mountain biking, get out there and just ride your bike. It's a great time, even if you're if you're personally watching this and you're looking to get into mountain biking, it's a great time to buy a bike used or buy a new bike. If you have questions about purchasing a bike or want help, leave a comment below. I'm happy to talk to anyone. I try to respond to every single comment, and I would be happy to give advice to anyone who's like looking to purchase their first mountain bike. In my first 4 years mountain biking, I think I had like 7 different bikes, so I've purchased more bikes than I would have liked to at this point. But it gives you a good experience on what to actually look for, what numbers are important, obviously, instead of just the selling price. And yeah, it's a fun experience. It's fun to mountain bike. It's fun to buy mountain bikes. It's even more fun to not have to buy mountain bikes and just enjoy the ones you're on. But I will stop from rambling, and I will catch you guys out on the trails. Cheers.